Hey, what do you do when you're faced with a minor chord and you're supposed to play some sort of minor scale over it, but you're not exactly sure which minor scale goes with that given minor chord? If you know your major scale theory, which I'm sure most of you do, you know that in any major scale there are three different minor scales derived from that, or three different modes. You've got Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian. Now, how do you know which one of those three modes goes with that given chord if you're trying to keep everything diatonic, meaning that it's from the same key as the chord progression? Today we're going to dive into what I call minor chord function, and we're going to break down the different ways that we can analyze and determine which mode we should be using. Now, many of you guys are busy and don't have hours in a day to sit around studying music theory and memorizing a bunch of key signatures and scale construction and chord relationships and things like that. So I've created this mode matrix right here. And if you notice on the mode matrix, I've got all 12 major keys as well as the names of all of the chords that are diatonic, meaning they come from that scale, from that parent key, and then the names of all the modes associated with each one of those different chords. So if we had a chord progression that went D minor to F to A minor, if I look at the top row, I can see that in the key of C, we've got a D minor, we've got an F, and an A minor. And that's at the second, the fourth, and the sixth modes right there, or second, fourth, and sixth degrees of the scale. Here's where it can get a little problematic for a lot of people is, if we look down to the key of F, we'll notice that at the sixth mode, Aeolian, we've got a D minor chord there. We've also got an F as the one chord under Aeolian, and then the third mode, Phrygian, has got an A minor. So how do you know which scale should you use? Should you use Dorian minor over that chord progression, or should you use Aeolian mode over that chord progression? Generally, it's a good idea to have a little more information, meaning that if you see other chords in the progression, such as what if we had a G minor chord later on in that song, chances are you're probably going to be playing D natural minor or the Aeolian mode from the key of F. If we happen to see a G major chord or a G7 chord, then pretty good indication that we're working with the key of C, so you would use the Dorian minor scale over that one. What if you're dealing with a chord progression that doesn't stay diatonic, meaning it doesn't stay within one key, i.e. jazz or R&B type songs where it's changing keys, or we have some modulation and things like that, or the overall chord progression just does not fit into one scale. So you kind of have to use maybe a case-by-case basis as to which scale would you need to use over a given minor chord. And sometimes it's up to your ears. What sounds best to you over that? So it's a good idea to experiment in the chord progression, maybe loop the chord progression or bring up a backing track on YouTube and then just practice soloing over it with the different minor scales and see which one fits the overall theme of the chord progression. Now would be a good time to hit that subscribe button and turn on those bell notifications so you see when a new video is released. There's also some times when the chord progression really doesn't have a strong harmonic movement to it, meaning that it doesn't really imply that it's from any one given key. So once again, at that point, it's really up to your ears and your personal taste to determine which one of those scales would sound best over it. Now, if you're faced with something like that, you might find that the three different modes that are minor type scales from the major scale might not be the flavor you're looking for. Don't forget, you've got melodic minor, you've got harmonic minor, there's a whole variety of other scales out there. Pentatonic minor, you can do all kinds of different things with it, but the purpose of this video is just to demonstrate minor chord function from major scale modes. A lot of times when I see other guitar players or some of my students and they're improvising over a chord progression that requires a minor scale, 9 out of 10 times their go-to scale is the minor pentatonic, which nothing wrong with minor pentatonic. fantastic scale. I use it all the time. However, there's some times when I want to be a little more sophisticated and add some extra color notes to my guitar solo. So that's where knowing what that minor chord is functioning as in a given key will help me determine how I can apply a different mode to that minor chord to get some added melodic content out of that scale. Let me know what you think. Leave me a question or a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to Joseph Hansen Guitar Studio. Turn on those bell notifications so you see when the latest video comes out. And check this video out right here. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Keep rocking on.